The Bible is filled with stories of women who played significant roles, yet many of them remain overshadowed by more prominent figures. These lesser-known women, often forgotten, made profound contributions to their communities and spiritual lives. In this exploration, we begin with some of these overlooked women, uncovering their stories and shedding light on their unique contributions to the faith and the spiritual fabric of the ancient world. One of the lesser-known women is Deborah, a prophetess and judge. While Deborah is often remembered as a leader in Israel, her story is often relegated to the background when compared to the men of the Bible. Deborah held a position of great influence and authority at a time when women rarely did so. Her wisdom, prophetic insight, and leadership helped guide the people of Israel during a time of great turmoil. She didn't just lead, she also inspired others, particularly Barak, the military leader. Her courage and conviction were paramount in achieving a significant victory over the Canaanites, ensuring the safety and freedom of her people. Deborah's story, however, is often left in the shadows, with her voice resonating as one of strength, wisdom, and faith in a world dominated by male narratives. Jael is another woman whose role, though less remembered, was vital to Israel's victory over its enemies. Jael, a seemingly ordinary woman, played a pivotal role in ending the threat posed by Sisera, the commander of the Canaanite army. While Deborah provided the strategy and guidance, Jael executed a daring and violent act that brought about a decisive victory. Sisera fled to Jael's tent seeking refuge, but instead of offering him protection, she seized the moment and killed him, ensuring the downfall of Israel's oppressors. This act was a bold and courageous step that required both bravery and a sense of justice. Despite her crucial role, Jael is rarely discussed in modern religious teachings, though her story is one of deep significance, illustrating how women, even in domestic spaces, can wield incredible influence and power. The next woman to consider is Michal, the daughter of King Saul and the first wife of David. Michal's story is often overshadowed by David's ascent to kingship and his other relationships, yet she played an essential role in his early life. Michal loved David deeply and went against her father's wishes to save his life. She deceived Saul's messengers and helped David escape from her father's grasp, an act that demonstrates her loyalty and bravery. Yet, despite her love and courage, Michal's life took a tragic turn as she later became estranged from David. Her story reflects the complexity of women's roles and political and familial dynamics of ancient Israel. Michal, though often forgotten, stands as a reminder of the sacrifices women made and the personal costs they bore in the broader narratives of power and kingship. Huldah, a prophetess during the reign of King Josiah, is another figure whose story is rarely highlighted. When the Book of the Law was discovered during Josiah's reforms, it was Huldah who authenticated it and delivered God's message to the king and his people. Her role as a spiritual authority is significant, yet her name is often lost amid the more famous prophets. Huldah's recognition as a prophetess by both the king and the religious establishment underscores her importance in shaping the religious landscape of Israel. Her story illustrates that women held prophetic roles and were regarded as authoritative voices in matters of faith, even in a society where male prophets were more prominent. Tamar, the daughter-in-law of Judah, also emerges as a woman whose story reveals the complexities of gender, power, and justice in biblical times. Tamar's narrative is one of persistence in the face of injustice. After the death of her husband, Tamar was left in a vulnerable position, as Judah failed to fulfill his duty of providing her with a husband from his family. Taking matters into her own hands, Tamar disguised herself and tricked Judah into fathering her children. This bold action ensured her survival and the continuation of her family line, ultimately making her an ancestor of King David and, according to Christian tradition, Jesus Christ. Tamar's story is often overlooked, yet it highlights the lengths to which women had to go to secure justice and protect their lineage in a patriarchal society. Another overlooked figure is Rizpah, the concubine of King Saul, who demonstrates profound maternal love and a fierce sense of justice. After her sons were executed by the Gibeonites as part of a blood guilt settlement, Rizpah took it upon herself to protect their bodies from scavengers, staying by their side for months. Her actions moved King David, who ultimately gave her sons a proper burial, along with the remains of Saul and Jonathan. Rizpah's unwavering devotion to her sons, even after their death, is a testament to the strength of a mother's love and the power of grief. Despite her remarkable story, Rizpah is seldom mentioned in discussions of biblical figures, though her actions had significant political and social repercussions in the Kingdom of Israel. Another significant yet often forgotten figure is Abigail, the wife of Nabal. Abigail's wisdom and quick thinking saved her household from destruction when David, angered by Nabal's insult, planned to attack. Abigail intervened, offering David gifts and persuading him to reconsider his actions. Her intelligence and diplomacy not only spared her family but also earned her David's respect and admiration, leading to her eventual marriage to him after Nabal's death. Abigail's story reflects the power of diplomacy and wisdom in times of conflict, a role that she played with grace and effectiveness, though her contributions are rarely highlighted. These women, and many others like them, reveal the complexity and diversity of female experiences in the Bible. From warriors to prophetesses, from queens to ordinary women, their stories are integral to understanding the full scope of biblical history and spirituality. While their names may not be as well known as others, their lives and contributions continue to resonate with themes of faith, courage, and resilience. By exploring their stories, we gain a deeper understanding of the ways in which women shaped the religious and cultural landscapes of their time, often in subtle yet profound ways. This first exploration into the forgotten women of the Bible begins to peel back the layers of history that have obscured their contributions. Their stories challenge the narrative that the Bible is solely a male-dominated text and reveal the rich tapestry of female experience woven throughout its pages. These women, though often in the background, played critical roles in the spiritual and communal lives of their people, offering lessons of faith, courage, and perseverance that continue to inspire today. The stories of forgotten women in the Bible continue to unfold, revealing a rich tapestry of faith, resilience, and the subtle yet significant roles these women played in shaping biblical history. While some of these women appear briefly in the text, their influence and the lessons their stories impart are timeless. Consider the story of Dinah, the daughter of Jacob and Leah. Dinah's narrative is brief and often overshadowed by the exploits of her brothers, yet it stands as a profound and tragic tale of violence, family honor, and gender dynamics in ancient times. Dinah was raped by Shechem, the son of a local ruler, which led to her brothers Simeon and Levi enacting a brutal form of retribution by slaughtering all the men of Shechem's city. Dinah's voice is largely absent from the biblical narrative, and her perspective is never shared, making her one of the most silenced figures in the Bible. Yet her story raises important questions about justice, power, and the place of women in biblical societies. Though forgotten in many retellings of the patriarchal history, Dinah's story serves as a haunting reminder of the vulnerability and silencing of women in such settings. Another lesser-known figure is Zipporah, the wife of Moses. Although Moses is one of the most central figures in the Bible, Zipporah's role in his life is often overlooked. She was the daughter of Jethro, a Midianite priest, and she played a critical role in an enigmatic and pivotal moment in Moses' life. When God sought to kill Moses during the journey to Egypt, it was Zipporah who intervened by circumcising their son and thus averting divine wrath. Her quick action saved Moses, and this incident reveals Zipporah's deep understanding of the sacred covenant. Despite this, her story fades into the background, and she is rarely given recognition for her role in securing the future of Israel's deliverer. Zipporah's story, though brief, highlights the influence and spiritual insight that women could wield, even in moments of great religious significance. Moving forward, we encounter the Shunammite woman, a figure who remains unnamed in the text but whose story is one of remarkable faith and perseverance. The Shunammite woman, a prominent and wealthy individual, showed hospitality to the prophet Elisha by providing him with a room in her home whenever he passed through the area. In return for her kindness, Elisha prophesied that she would have a son, even though she had been unable to conceive. This prophecy was fulfilled, but tragedy struck when her son suddenly died. The Shunammite woman did not accept this as the final word. Instead, she sought out Elisha and boldly demanded that he restore her child to life. Her faith and determination were rewarded, and her son was miraculously revived. Though her name is forgotten, her story stands as a powerful testament to a woman's unwavering faith and her ability to confront even death with courage and conviction. In the book of Judges, the story of Jephthah's daughter is another heartbreaking example of a woman's fate being intertwined with the vows and actions of men. Jephthah, a judge of Israel, made a rash vow to sacrifice the first thing that greeted him upon returning home if God granted him victory in battle. Tragically, his daughter was the first to greet him, and Jephthah felt bound to fulfill his vow. His daughter, unnamed in the text, accepted her fate with grace, asking only for time to mourn her virginity before she was sacrificed. Her story reflects the dangers of reckless promises and the way in which women's lives were often subject to the decisions made by men. Though her life ended in tragedy, the memory of her selflessness lived on among the women of Israel, who established a tradition of mourning her each year. This brief yet poignant narrative highlights the limited agency of women in biblical times, as well as the deep sense of duty and sacrifice that women were often called upon to display. Another often overlooked figure is Athaliah, the daughter of King Ahab and Queen Jezebel, who became Queen of Judah. Unlike most women in the Bible, Athaliah held power as a monarch, albeit through ruthless means. After the death of her son, King Ahaziah, Athaliah seized the throne and sought to eliminate all potential rivals by killing off the royal family. Her reign lasted 6 years before she was overthrown, and her story is one of political intrigue, ambition, and the lengths to which some individuals will go to secure power. While Athaliah is often vilified for her cruelty, her story also serves as a rare example of a woman who ruled independently in the ancient world, a figure who wielded political authority in a period dominated by male rulers. Her narrative, though grim, offers a glimpse into the complex dynamics of power and gender in biblical history. Rahab, though briefly mentioned in the Bible, is another woman whose story has far-reaching implications. A prostitute in the city of Jericho, Rahab helped the Israelite spies who had come to scout the land before the Israelites' conquest. By hiding the spies and misleading the king's men, Rahab ensured the safety of her family when the Israelites destroyed Jericho. Her actions were driven by her belief in the God of Israel, and as a result she became one of the few non-Israelites to be included in the lineage of Jesus, according to Christian tradition. Rahab's story is significant not only because of her faith but also because of the way it challenges societal norms about women's roles and morality. Despite her profession, Rahab's faith and actions made her a pivotal figure in the history of Israel, and her inclusion in the genealogy of Christ speaks to the redemptive power of faith. Finally, the story of Naomi and Ruth offers a profound example of female loyalty, love, and resilience. Naomi, a widow who lost both her sons, faced a bleak and uncertain future in the patriarchal society of ancient Israel. Yet, her daughter-in-law Ruth chose to remain by her side, forsaking her own people and homeland to accompany Naomi back to Israel. Ruth's famous declaration of loyalty, "Where you go, I will go," epitomizes the depth of her commitment. Together, these two women navigated the challenges of widowhood and poverty, relying on their bond and their faith. Ruth's story culminates in her marriage to Boaz and her inclusion in the lineage of King David, further solidifying her importance in biblical history. The relationship between Naomi and Ruth demonstrates the strength of women's bonds and the ways in which women supported one another in times of hardship. Their story is one of mutual devotion, survival, and the power of faith to transcend cultural and familial boundaries. As we delve deeper into the stories of these forgotten women, it becomes clear that their contributions to the biblical narrative are far from insignificant. Though their names may not always be remembered, their actions and the lessons their lives impart continue to resonate. Whether through acts of courage, faith, or sacrifice, these women played vital roles in shaping the religious and cultural landscapes of their time. Their stories remind us that the Bible, while often viewed through a patriarchal lens, contains a wealth of female experiences that have been waiting to be rediscovered. In continuing to explore these forgotten women, we not only honor their memories but also gain a richer and more nuanced understanding of the biblical text. These women challenge traditional narratives, offering alternative perspectives on power, faith, and justice. By bringing their stories to light, we reclaim their voices and recognize the profound impact they had on their communities and on the unfolding of biblical history. As we continue to uncover the stories of the forgotten women in the Bible, their presence becomes even more significant, offering deeper insights into the spiritual and cultural life of ancient times. Each of these women, though often relegated to the margins of the biblical narrative, played crucial roles that helped shape the development of faith and community within their world. One such woman is Hannah, the mother of the prophet Samuel. Hannah's story is one of profound faith and perseverance in the face of adversity. Unable to bear children, she suffered both emotionally and socially, as infertility was considered a great misfortune in ancient Israel. Her rival, Peninnah, tormented her because of her barrenness, deepening her sorrow. Despite this, Hannah's response was not one of bitterness or despair. Instead, she turned to God in prayer, pouring out her soul in the temple and making a vow that if she were granted a son, she would dedicate him to the service of the Lord. Her prayer was answered, and she gave birth to Samuel, who would become one of the most important prophets and judges in Israel's history. Hannah's story is a testament to the power of faith, patience, and devotion. Her prayer, which is recorded in the Bible, is one of the most moving expressions of gratitude and faithfulness in the Scriptures. Yet her role as the mother of Samuel is often overshadowed by his achievements. Hannah's story leads us to another remarkable woman, Abigail. As previously mentioned, Abigail's intelligence and diplomacy saved her household from destruction at the hands of David. However, her role extends beyond this one episode. Abigail's actions not only averted immediate disaster, but they also secured her future. After the death of her husband, Nabal, David took Abigail as his wife, and she became an integral part of his life. Her story highlights the importance of wisdom and discernment, particularly in a world where impulsive decisions could lead to disaster. Abigail's ability to act swiftly and decisively in a moment of crisis demonstrates the critical role that women could play in biblical times, not only within their households but also in the larger political and social spheres. Another significant yet often overlooked figure is the widow of Zarephath. During a time of great famine, the prophet Elijah encountered this widow and asked her for food. Despite her own desperate circumstances, she had only enough flour and oil for one final meal for herself and her son. She chose to share what little she had with Elijah. Her faith and generosity were rewarded, as God miraculously provided for her and her household throughout the famine. Later, when her son fell gravely ill and died, Elijah raised him from the dead, further cementing the widow's place in biblical history. Her story, though brief, is one of profound faith and trust in God's provision, even in the direst of circumstances. The widow of Zarephath's faith and willingness to give, even when she had almost nothing, offers a powerful lesson in generosity and reliance on divine providence. Delving deeper into the lives of forgotten women, we also find the story of the wise woman of Abel, an unnamed figure who played a pivotal role in saving her city from destruction. When Joab, the commander of King David's army, besieged the city of Abel in pursuit of a rebel named Sheba, it was this woman who negotiated with Joab, offering to deliver Sheba's head in exchange for the safety of the city. Her quick thinking and diplomatic skills not only saved countless lives but also resolved a major political conflict without further bloodshed. Despite the significant role she played in this episode, the wise woman of Abel remains unnamed and largely forgotten. Her story, however, illustrates the power of negotiation, wisdom and courage in moments of crisis. Turning to the New Testament, we encounter Mary Magdalene, one of the most significant yet often misunderstood women in the Bible. While Mary Magdalene is better known than many of the other women we have explored, her role and significance are frequently misrepresented. Traditionally portrayed as a repentant sinner or prostitute, there is no biblical evidence to support this characterization. Instead, Mary Magdalene was a devoted follower of Jesus, present at both his crucifixion and his resurrection. In fact, she was the first to witness the risen Christ, a profound moment that underscores her importance in the early Christian community. Her role as the first witness to the resurrection places her at the very heart of the Christian faith, yet she has often been marginalized or misunderstood in religious tradition. Mary Magdalene's story challenges us to reconsider the ways in which women's contributions to spiritual life have been diminished or distorted throughout history. Another notable figure from the New Testament is Lydia, a businesswoman and early convert to Christianity. Lydia was a dealer in purple cloth, a luxury item in the ancient world, which suggests that she was a woman of considerable wealth and status. When Paul and Silas traveled to Philippi, it was Lydia who offered them hospitality and became one of the first converts in Europe. Her home became a gathering place for the early Christian community in Philippi, and her support was crucial in the spread of the Christian faith in that region. Lydia's story is significant because it highlights the role of women in the early Christian movement, particularly as patrons and leaders within their communities. Though her story is brief, Lydia's contribution to the growth of the early church is undeniable, and her example demonstrates the important role that women played in the establishment of the Christian faith. Finally, we turn to Priscilla, another important figure in the early Christian movement. Priscilla, along with her husband Aquila, was a close companion of Paul and played a key role in the spread of Christianity. The two are often mentioned together in the New Testament, but Priscilla is sometimes listed first, suggesting that she may have been the more prominent figure in their ministry. Priscilla and Aquila were instrumental in instructing Apollos, an eloquent preacher, and helping him to understand the Christian faith more fully. Their role as teachers and leaders within the early church highlights the significant contributions that women made to the development of Christian theology and practice. Priscilla's story challenges traditional notions of gender roles within the church and serves as a reminder of the vital role that women played in the formation of the early Christian community. As we conclude this exploration of the forgotten women of the Bible, it becomes clear that their stories are not only integral to understanding biblical history but also offer timeless lessons of faith, courage, and wisdom. These women, often overlooked or misunderstood, played crucial roles in shaping the spiritual and cultural landscapes of their time. From the faith of Hannah to the diplomacy of Abigail, from the generosity of the widow of Zarephath to the leadership of Priscilla, These women demonstrate the diverse ways in which women contributed to the unfolding of biblical history. By bringing their stories to light, we honor their contributions and recognize the profound impact they had on their communities and on the development of religious thought and practice. These women, though often forgotten, remind us that the Bible is not solely a record of male experiences but a rich tapestry that includes the voices, actions, and faith of women who, in their own unique ways, shaped the course of history. Their stories continue to inspire, challenge, and deepen our understanding of the complexities of faith and the human experience.